close out the week. It's Friday. Real Kipper and Bourne Show, Leaf Edition. On this Friday, we are live on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and Sportsnet Plus. Currently coming off American Thanksgiving. 9 games right now currently. Do I have that right? 9 and 1 already in the books with the Philadelphia Flyers and the New York Rangers.
Rangers stink.
3-1 losers to the Philadelphia Flyers, and it could have been a lot uglier if it wasn't for a goalie named Shesterkin.
Yeah, it's funny because fans and the organization, when it was 12-6 and whatever, 12-6 and 1, we're all panicked, and I was sitting here like, what is happening? And they saw something we didn't see. That team is not playing good hockey. Yeesh.
In the meantime, I'm Nick Kypreos. He's Justin Bourne. He's Sammy Mickey. Who else we got? We got Austin Mackey.
Yeah.
Where's he from? Like, he just drops in our lap?
Yeah, he's a grinder. He does everything around here. So I don't know where Derek didn't text me. He didn't text me. He didn't tell me he wasn't coming in today.
That's okay.
Just goes to the boys.
Austin's old hat.
Yeah, he's good. He's got it under control.
Not a worry in the world with Austin Mackey and Jake the Snake Schultz.
Yeah.
So it's a Friday, which means an off day for the Toronto Maple Leafs as they gear up for Hockey Night in Canada matchup with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Their second game in the state of Florida. Good news, right?
Oh, yeah.
Certain players coming back. Austin Matthews, Matthew Nyes.
But you lose another one with McMahon going out. So if two come back, one has to go.
Who needs McMahon when you have Pontus Holmberg?
Doesn't sound like it's serious for
he's going to miss
McMahon.
a couple games, maybe.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holmberg is going to take his spot on the Tavares and Marner line. So you got Holmberg, Tavares, Marner, and then Nyes, Matthews, William Nylander. I specify William because it's not Alex.
We have been spending a lot of time, we were mentioning this off air, talking about a team that doesn't play hockey. They have been on the English Premier League schedule where they play once, maybe twice a week here for the last 3. And, it's going to be really interesting to see because they've been able to get by with the Marlies here. Yeah. Like they've been able to get by with some soft competition and them, not having all their guys. But that's about to change. They're about to start playing hockey every other night for a full month. Be really interesting to see how they handle it. You get Matthews back, you get Nyes back, but you're
really
still
good time, right?
Still, your bottom 6 is not pretty.
Right now, go ahead, Kim.
No, you go ahead.
The bottom 6, third line is looking like Robertson, Minton, Lorentz, and Steves, Dewar, Grabenkin.
Okay.
All right, before we get into some sound bites through a few Kipper Clippers, including Austin Matthews on his return, where do you sum up tomorrow night in terms of the importance, should I say, of a win more so than a good effort? Because they have been able to make some strides in the Atlantic. Even with the loss, they're still there in the first place in the division. But does losing to Florida and then losing to Tampa on Saturday night sour you a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, not on anything so much as not good. I think it's been hard to get a read for what this team is. What's been so impressive is how well the call-ups have played to put them in a position to be in games. And then Marner has been fantastic to kind of get them over the hump in a lot of different states. So they've been getting points, but it's been tough to assess the team here. Yeah. I don't know that my opinion on this team has changed a whole lot. Is there enough guys back with Nyes and Matthews, their first games back in a long time, with that weak bottom 6 to say this team is anything? I don't know. I don't know if what do you think? Is it fair to make an assessment on the team?
I put more value in trying to find a way to win Tampa. A split's okay for me. Losing two teams that you really like to send a message to, and I get it that you're not full in Florida. And could Matthews have played? Could he not? whether it was his decision or the team's decision or both or one or the, it doesn't matter. You saved him because you think he was going to be that much stronger. Well, okay, then it has to show as early as tomorrow night for me.
No, I totally agree. I love matchups with Tampa. I really have enjoyed the games that the Leafs have played against them over the past few years. 2 really good playoff series. The one where the Leafs actually won a playoff series. So I do have good memories.
Huzzah!
I do have good memories watching games in that building. I like the matchup. They have good players that I don't like, and I just think it's a good, fun matchup. But yeah, like they're not far behind the Leafs in the, like we talked about the Florida Panthers being right behind the Leafs in the Atlantic Division and that being a big test. What are the Lightning? They're not far behind them at all.
Lightning lead the division in goal differential, and if they were to win tomorrow night, they would have a game in hand and be 2 points behind the Leafs.
So there you go. This is another really big test down in Florida. And I would say that it kind of sucks that at least maybe 2 biggest rivals are Florida teams. It's not my biggest cup of tea, favorite thing. Boston this year, maybe you could talk about it, but these 2 teams really seem to be the biggest ones outside of Boston. So it's a big one. And I totally agree. If Matthews is not going to play on Wednesday, and you can talk whatever you want to talk, I think saving him for a couple more nights, you need him to step up and be big tomorrow. That's it.
All right, let's go to Austin Matthews, the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, on his return.
Pretty good. It's nice to get another team practice and work in those drills. And like I said the other day, just the competitive aspect of battling and stuff like that. So, in my mind, I'm playing tomorrow and excited to be back.
All right, and then he's got
in his mind. In his mind, he's ready to go.
I think that kind of implies, he doesn't have the final say if someone tells him he's not.
Okay.
But yeah, let's.
Should we tee this up a little bit? Because there's a story yesterday in the Toronto Sun about Austin Matthews' trip to Germany by Steve Simmons, where they're talking about the nature of the trip and the secrecy of the trip and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think it was maybe McGran. I couldn't quite make out the voice that asked him about sort of the secrecy of his injury and his thoughts on it. And he replied with this clip. Clip 2, please, Austin.
I don't think there's really any secrecy. I don't think we did anything outside of the rules of providing information to you guys in the NHL. So I think it just gets a little bit blown out of proportion with, the marketplace and you guys being a little bit nosy. But in my mind, we haven't done anything secrecy. I think it's my choice whether or not I want to share the extent of injury. And you look around the league, lower body injury, upper body injury on every single team. So I think it's just been made out to be a bigger deal than it is. And I don't really care. It's up for you guys to talk about it and do your thing. But, in the end, I'm just going to focus on myself and focus on the team and being the best that I can.
He makes all valid points here. There is an overall feeling around the league where everybody's on a need-to-know basis, and the league says you guys don't ever need to know, and that's the extent of it. So the secrecy has been there for a very long time. He's just playing that.
Yeah, but
does it need to stop?
Well, it's just if you don't want it to be a big deal, if only there was some way to make it not a big deal. You just tell people what's going on. The guy who gets paid the most on the team has a serious injury. He's going to be, it's his back, it's his whatever. He'll be back shortly. And then people don't have to spend time digging through waste bins to try to figure out what's going on.
Which is what they're doing.
Yeah, well, of course.
Right?
There's an information vacuum. I've been saying the same thing all week.
Yeah.
You leave a vacuum, people fill it with crap. So I don't know.
Yeah, I know. And I've been on both sides now, this side for 20 plus years. I get the thirst and the hunger and writing something that 40 other people are not, or getting to it first, or all of it. I get it. But, where are we now in the world of gambling? We want their money, but we're not going to tell you if they're playing or not, or if they're hiding an injury or not. It's a different world now with gambling.
To me, it's naive. It's it's only a big deal because of the market. But it's you're in this market. You know this market.
That's exactly it.
It's not a surprise.
Yeah, you look around the league. It's upper body, lower body is what he says. It's look where you are. Don't look around the league because you're in Toronto. Sure, it's not going to matter if it's Carolina.
You're one of the
highest
profile names in the game.
in the league.
Yes.
Like when I listen to podcasts in the States and they do advertising for Amazon, they'll say, Monday Night Hockey with McDavid, Matthews, Crosby. It's like you are in the first sentence when they're promoting the whole league.
Right.
It's a different story with you, man.
And to be honest,
it is.
JT Miller is not as big a name, and it's a much more sensitive issue. And we spent 20 minutes yesterday talking around the edges of it because it's interesting. People want to know. I don't know.
Well,
sorry, God forbid we're nosy
No.
about the biggest, about one of the biggest superstars in the league that has a mystery injury. He flies to Germany.
He is downplaying,
God forbid.
how big of a story it is when you're in an organization that has the staff, including the medical staff of a small country, but none of them are good enough to help you get better. You need to go overseas. That's a story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a big story.
Yep.
So I have no issue with what they did. I have no issue, unlike other people I've talked to, with taking the extra time at a
Are
time.
you looking at me?
I am. And taking the time with a very soft schedule for the Leafs, use that whole time and then get back for the busy part. No problem with how it's been handled.
Including Austin, though. Including Austin. He doesn't have to open up or give you anything more than what any other player or team has done in the last 20, 30, 100 years.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, hey, you not been paying attention? We tell you nothing. So that's the chicken and the egg.
Yeah, I got no issue with how it's handled.
I
have issue with being surprised or even the little joke about people being nosy. It's like, pay attention.
I think the ideal response to me for that would be, I understand this market. I understand that people are interested, but I'm just not interested in telling people exactly what's wrong with me. And it's the same way with a lot of players.
Yeah, not that it's like blown up.
You're nosy. It's
Yeah.
like, we are nosy. We care the most out of anyone. Sorry.
Care about you.
No, it's just like, it's the Leafs, man. I don't know if you've noticed or not. They're popular. You're the best player on the team. Anyways.
Yeah.
The Leafs center dilemma: who can strengthen the roster? If you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan like me, you know the team's center depth has been a constant concern this season. With Austin Matthews set to return from a mysterious upper body injury next week, the excitement of having our star back is palpable. However, there are still serious issues to address in the center position to keep the team competitive and, of course, fuel our playoff dreams. David Kampf, a key piece in the center rotation, is sidelined with a lower body injury. As if that weren't enough, Kaye Jarnkrok is still recovering from surgery, leaving another gap in the lineup. Max Domi, expected to be a versatile asset, has been placed on injured reserve, further aggravating the situation after missing consecutive practices due to lingering pains. To sum it up, the Leafs are missing 4 functional centers, and the pressure to act is mounting. James Myrtle, a respected Leafs analyst and contributor to The Athletic, highlighted a series of potential trade targets to address this dilemma during his appearance on the J.D. Bunky's podcast. Among the names mentioned, 2 stood out: Nick Jugstad and, for the nostalgic fans, a possible reunion with Ryan O'Reilly. Jugstad seems to be Myrtle's favorite, and for good reason. The player, who signed a 2-year deal with the Utah Hockey Club last offseason, carries a manageable $2.1 million cap hit, which is essential for a team as salary cap-strapped as the Leafs. Additionally, standing at 6 feet 6 inches and weighing 205 pounds, he would bring not only physicality but also consistent offensive contributions. Jugstad is the most viable option for the Leafs right now, Myrtle stated on the podcast. And he's right. Experienced and versatile, Jugstad has played for several teams, including the Florida Panthers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Minnesota Wild, and Edmonton Oilers, and could quickly adapt to the Leafs dynamic. With an affordable contract and a solid track record, he offers a practical solution without sacrificing too many future assets. However, it's impossible to ignore the possibility of a Ryan O'Reilly return. Yes, we know he chose the Nashville Predators last summer in search of a quieter environment, but the Leafs management still holds him in high regard. The 2019 Stanley Cup-winning captain with the St. Louis Blues is precisely the type of player any contender would love to have on their roster. However, the cost of bringing him back would be steep, both in terms of trade assets and cap space adjustments, as Nashville or a third team would need to retain part of his salary. I don't think the O'Reilly scenario is entirely out of reach, Myrtle said, showing that there's optimism within the organization. However, there are doubts about how much it's worth investing in a 33-year-old player, even with his impeccable credentials. Meanwhile, cheaper internal options like Steven Lawrence, Connor Dewar, Pontus Holmberg, and Fraser Minton have been mentioned. But let's be honest, these names might serve as short-term stopgaps, but they're far from offering the stability and impact the team needs. The pressure is all on GM Brad Treliving. He knows that despite the Leafs' solid performance so far, the center position is crucial to sustaining any championship aspirations. With the trade deadline approaching, Treliving has likely intensified his efforts to finalize a deal. And we, the fans, are eagerly awaiting good news. For now, all we can do is trust that the team can weather this tough phase and hope a solution, whether it's Bjugstad, O'Reilly, or another name, arrives before things spiral out of control. After all, as we all know, the Leafs don't have the luxury of wasting another season with a promising but incomplete roster. The time to act is now. The Leafs center dilemma, expanding on the potential solutions. The Toronto Maple Leafs, amidst another promising yet tumultuous season, face one of their most pressing challenges, addressing a depleted center lineup that threatens to derail their momentum. While the return of Auston Matthews is a beacon of hope, the broader picture remains dire, requiring urgent action from the front office. With Kampf, Jarnkrok, and Domi sidelined, the team's depth has been stretched thin. The immediate impact is clear on both ends of the ice. Defensively, the Leafs are struggling to suppress opposing top lines without reliable two-way centers.